year. There are, however, other prophecies that may give us a few more clues to the timing of this attack. The evangelist Alan C. Martin had a prophecy that purportedly shows Obama to be the last American president. In a combination of two separate visions, 1971 and 1995, he describes the following. He saw 12 houses which he believed represented the last 12 American presidents. In the backyard of house number 3, he saw a Life magazine with JFK's face on it saying, "In memory of dead presidents." In the front yard of the 11th president was a willow tree, which represents sadness. Over the 12th house, he saw 6 stars with one falling to the ground. A voice came to him and said, "Look to the east." He began to turn to the east, fully expecting to see the Lord coming in the clouds. The dark clouds opened up in 2 places, and he saw the sun darkened and the moon turning to blood. He believed these signs represented the judgment to come during the 12th president. According to the vision, we are now in the house of that last American president, the 12th house. This prophecy will certainly be tested over the next 4 years. Michael Boldea is the grandson of Dumitru Duduman. He also had a vision that allows us to speculate on the timing of the final American judgment. Here it is.
I dreamt I was walking through a sparsely wooded forest, and suddenly my attention was drawn to an eagle flying high above the tree line. It was a beautiful sight to behold as the eagle rode the thermals, flying in slow, lazy arcs across the blue sky. Noticing that it was slowly descending towards the earth, I followed it for a long time, its descent not being sudden, but very gradual. Finally, I came upon a small clearing where there were no trees, just some bushes. The eagle landed in the clearing and began to look around, not seeming to notice me. As I began to wonder what relevance this had, a man dressed in white, hands clasped in front of him, appeared beside me and said, "Be patient. In due time, you will see the purpose." I was silent as I watched the eagle and was beginning to grow somewhat impatient when suddenly, it seemed out of nowhere, a brown snake lunged at the eagle and bit down on its left wing. The snake's strike was very quick and very precise. The eagle reacted without delay, clawing and pecking at the snake, cutting deep wounds in its underbelly, trying to defend itself and ward off the serpent. Just as it seemed, the eagle was winning the battle and the serpent was retreating. Another serpent approached, red and black diagonal stripes covering its body, and without hesitation struck out at the eagle's right wing, biting down and refusing to release. After a momentary tug of war, the serpent tore off flesh and feathers, leaving a large wound on the eagle's right wing. The second bite was much worse than the first, and for an instant the eagle was stunned. Then a serpent much larger than the previous 2, made up of many colors, slithered towards the eagle, opened its jaws, and lunged, taking the whole of the eagle's head in its mouth before biting down. The serpents retreat, and the man who had been standing beside me walked to the eagle, knelt down, picked it up, and held it in his cupped hands. "This has been revealed to you that you may know. The first bite has been, the second is yet to come, and the third will be its destruction." And that was the end of the dream. The thing that I have to point out is that this nation's descent wasn't a sudden one. Once we were a godly nation. Once we were not ashamed to say the name Jesus. Once we allowed our children to pray in schools. Once we were not embarrassed of saying that the 10 Commandments were the foundation of our logistics and of our legal system. Once we said that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is our God as well. Our descent wasn't sudden by any means, because there's nothing sudden about how the enemy works.
Michael Boldea's vision was given in October 2004. It was clear that the first strike was 9/11. Whether the second strike may have been related to the economic crash of 2007 and 8 is still yet to be decided. There is more to be said in regard to the first strike, or to the first judgment that became known as 9/11. A few people warned in advance of this event. Rick Wiles, the True News presenter, was one of them.
When I started the radio program in the summer of 1999, I said several times in July and August of 1999, I said the words to the effect, folks, I don't know what this means, but when I pray, I'm hearing in my spirit, judgment starts in America on September 11. Now, I didn't know what it meant, but I thought it was imminent. That's all I heard. But 2 years later, on September 11, 2001, our phones rang all day long from people in Dallas-Fort Worth who heard me speak those words in 99, and they were saying, it's happened.
9/11 was a watershed event, both at a national and also at a spiritual level. Something had been broken in the heavenlies. In his book, The Harbinger, Messianic teacher Jonathan Cahn describes the signs that accompanied that infamous day. He recounts the words of Senator Majority Leader Tom Daschler on the day after 9/11.
I know that there is only the smallest measure of inspiration that can be taken from this devastation. But there is a passage in the Bible from Isaiah that I think speaks to all of us at times like this. The bricks have fallen down, but we will rebuild with dressed stone. The fig trees have been felled, but we will replace them with cedars. That is what we will do. We will rebuild.
Not understanding that this verse in Isaiah is in fact recounting the stubborn and arrogant response of the northern tribe of Israel to the judgment of God. Instead of repenting of their idolatry, they decided to rebuild even stronger. It was 18 years after this, in 722 BC, when the northern tribe of Israel was finally decimated by the Assyrian Empire. This sign is combined with the laying of the foundation stone for the One World Tower, a hewn stone, and also the sign of the sycamore tree. In the yard of St. Paul's Church near the site of 9/11 was a sycamore tree which was cut down by a beam of the falling North Tower, a freak accident. 2 years following 9/11, a biblical cedar tree, that is an arez or a conifer tree, was placed in the exact position of the cut down sycamore tree, fulfilling to the letter the words spoken by Tom Daschler. So there you have it. The warnings have been given, the signs have been crystal clear. America, or New Israel, has forgotten and turned away from its foundation, the God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. Many are expecting President Obama to not only win the election, but his last term, will be characterized by upheaval and potential devastation. God is slow when enacting judgment on a nation. He has given the warnings and the signs. For its idolatry, its sexual sins, its arrogance, its unwanted military forays into other nations, America has been marked for destruction. Will it survive in any form?